Everybody thinks their idea is very unique and very different. I have yet to meet a speaker that says, I don't know if this is, everybody proclaims, right? This is a totally unique idea. Oh, great. Let me hear it. Okay, I heard that 5 times yesterday. Go on YouTube, type in whatever topic you want to speak about, start to do research. What they're ultimately doing is pitching an idea that's already been said. Is your idea unique enough and distilled enough? And again, from your perspective, how can it make someone think differently?
How do I know that it's going to be a powerful subject?
Well,
welcome to the Swedish Wealth Institute Podcast. Today, I am joined by Tara LaFon Gooch, and we are going to be talking about what it takes to become a TEDx speaker. How do you create the speech? How do you get on the stage? How do you build the confidence to take a powerful idea and turn it into a message that will open doors? This is a really valuable skill because public speaking allows you to do better presentations, to get in front of crowds of your audience, build your brand, and ultimately build your freedom. So this is what's going to be really, really exciting about this talk. Me and Tara are going to talk about the work you have to do before, how you structure the talk itself, and then how do you make sure you get the value from it at the end. So by the end, you will be able to become a TEDx speaker if that has been your dream. So let's get right into it. Here is Tara LaFon Gooch. Hey, Tara, welcome to the Swedish Wealth Institute Podcast.
hey, thank you so much for having me, Daniel.
Yep. Super excited for today. I want to talk to you about public speaking, becoming a successful speaker. Obviously, you've helped so many people do this successfully. And let's start with what is, for many speakers, a bit of a rite of passage, becoming a TEDx speaker. Let's share with our audience, what does that mean? What is being a TEDx speaker? And give us a little background, and then we'll get into the hows and what to do and not.
Absolutely. So I think, TEDx is a great positioning statement for a speaker. It's a good thing to have in your portfolio. It's a good thing to have, just documentation of that you're seen by a third party entity that is a reputable entity that says this person's message is worthy of a big stage. This person's message should be listened to. So anytime you can borrow a credibility and authority and someone else's reach and audience and brand, I think it's a good thing, right? So it's about showing up on a stage that, affords you that as a speaker. And I think it's a great positioning piece for a speaker. It's not the entire repertoire. It's not the entire thing that you cannot absolutely let your speaking career depend on a TED Talk. It's about so much more than that. It's about an overall strategy and consistently showing up.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's, as I said, it's a bit of a rite of passage, and it's a way to, show off in front of different opportunities to speak if you're going to build a business. And you've created a great course about it in the Swedish Wealth Institute community that I think we're going to spoil a little bit today because I'm going to be asking a bunch of questions.
Yeah.
So how do you get on and get your first TED Talk? How does that work?
Well, what I have seen as not only a speaker coach, but a speaker curator. So I work within a local TEDx event to curate and bring on speakers. So I've seen the stage from every angle. I've seen it from being a speaker on the stage, delivering a talk, being a curator who brings on speakers and vets speakers, and then also coaching speakers. So how to get in it's less, don't worry about TEDx right now. Worry about what is the idea you're sharing. I think the first step many people think of is how do I get on the stage, but they don't take the time to really distill a message. And then when you find one that is potentially hiring for speakers, it's a mismatch and they don't understand why you're applying. Right. So it's really important first to get the clarity. What is the message I want to talk about? What is that one message, one idea, not 5 ideas, one single idea, which is not easy, right? So many speakers that I work with have 100 ideas and they think it's a TED Talk. It's about that one idea. And it's an art to
And what
get
kind
to
of
that.
ideas are they looking for? Like what makes a good TED Talk in your experience?
A good TED Talk is something that shifts your perspective on something. It makes you think differently.
Mm,
If you can make someone think differently from your perspective, your story, your whatever it is, your take on the world, that's when it's not just a good talk. That's when people pay attention to it. That's when you get opportunities from it. And again, it's not
right.
just about can I get a TED Talk or how do I get a TED Talk? It's about what is that one idea that you could share from your perspective that could change the world.
That is really deep, and it gets me because the problem is I think most speakers, we think our idea, our message is worth its weight in gold. How do you go about stress testing that to see that it will actually be what a TEDx is looking for, or that it is what, more than, we live in our little bubble, right?
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
do we know that it's going to work outside of our little bubble?
Absolutely. So, a good stress test to see, because everybody thinks their idea is very unique and very different. I
Yeah.
have yet to meet a speaker that says, I don't know if this is, everybody proclaims, right? This is a
Yeah.
totally unique idea. Oh,
Yeah.
great. Let me hear it. Okay. I heard that 5 times yesterday. So, a stress test is going on YouTube, not letting
Right.
your emotions lead, right? Not letting your own understanding lead. Go on YouTube, type in whatever topic you want to speak about on the TEDx stage,
Mm.
and that keyword, whatever it is, maybe it's a talk about confidence, TEDx talks. Let it show you the
Right.
list, right?
Right.
And then
Yeah.
you look at the titles and descriptions and start to do research. I think that's a
Mm.
big thing that speakers don't do, is that taking the time to research. And then
Right.
what they're ultimately doing is pitching an idea that's already been said.
Right.
Goes back to the drawing board of, is your idea unique enough and distilled enough? And again, from your perspective, how can it make someone think differently?
Yeah. Well, I think the challenge there, though, is, let's say if my idea is unique, if no one's talked about it before, is it actually worth talking about?
Yeah.
How do I know that it's going to be a powerful subject, or powerful enough, so to speak?
Yeah. Well, I'll just give my example because I think
Yeah,
it's just
please.
best to learn from example. When I was, first looking into speaking on the TEDx stage for myself,
Mm.
I have a 5-step method. It's called GRASP, GRASP. I write about it in my first book. I have a podcast on it, right? And it stands for gratitude, responsibility, action, site, purpose. That's the 5 steps I use to become
Mm.
confident and, successful in life. Now, that's way too long for a TEDx talk because it's 5 steps.
Right.
And that also means if it's 5 steps, it's 5 ideas, if you think about
Right.
it,
Yeah.
right? You think of it as one idea because you think of it as one thing, but it's actually 5.
Yeah. It's one grasp, but
It
each one is its
exactly.
own. Right.
Yeah. So again, humbling yourself, because that's what you have to do, right? You have to humble
Yeah.
yourself and you have to have that like coachable beginner's mindset.
Yeah.
And then you have to say, okay, what is the one thing? So if I were to teach this and I only had the option of one,
Mm.
what would that one thing be? And it was gratitude. And then I looked, there were plenty of other talks on confidence, plenty of other talks on gratitude, no talk saying gratitude is the foundation of confidence. Gratitude
Right.
builds
So no one
sustainable
else was
confidence.
connecting the two.
That's exactly right. And it was a perspective based on my lived experience. And
Mm.
then, of course, I had professional work as well with the
Yeah.
podcast and the book. So it made sense. And
Right. And
you
you had
correlate.
the credibility to be the person to bring this connection because of that.
Exactly. Yeah. So it has to be lived experience. This can't come out of the ether. I think that's a big misunderstanding that a lot of people do, is they have this really deep experience over here, but then want to talk
Yeah.
about this other thing.
Right.
And it's like, no, you have to have some type of correlation so people
Yeah.
understand, right?
Right. And so how do you structure a talk like this? Is it very much telling your story, or is it examples? Like, how do you ideally structure? Because it's only 12 minutes, so you got to get your point across quickly.
Yeah, you got to get your point across quickly. I definitely encourage personal storytelling. It just,
Mhm.
the story shouldn't be the star. The idea is the star. And
Mm,
I think that's a lot of times as well where speakers get wrong when writing and crafting their talks. They think their story is the star, it's the idea. So again, it's that shift in perspective based
right.
on what TED is, right?
Yeah.
And once you realize that the star of of the talk is the idea, then you can write from that. So write from that
Mm,
mindset. And what do all good talks start with? They start with a really intriguing hook.
yeah.
Right? It's YouTube. It needs to gain attention in the first 45 seconds so people actually
Right.
watch your talk. So it's going to be very clear, very intriguing. Start with a hook from the beginning, but it shouldn't just start with a hook. I think that's another thing that a lot of people get wrong with speech writing. It should be a hook continually, a
Mm.
continual hook. Those continual hooks
Right. I
build
remember
trust.
that from back in the day when I just started with internet marketing. They would say the job of the first sentence is to get you to read the second sentence.
Right.
The job of the second sentence is to get you to read the third sentence, and so on and so forth. So it's basically that same idea.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think this is really important as well. I don't hear a lot of people talk about it. We talk about so much with the written script and we
Mm.
focus and concentrate so hard on that. Every word does count and matters, but your nonverbal cues count even more,
Yeah.
way more, right? What is communication? 80% nonverbal.
Mm.
And yet we focus so much on the verbal. So I do want to say that. And this is why, again, I think everybody should have a coach to pick these things out
Yeah.
so that when somebody does have their big day on stage, they show up as the best version possible.
Oh, I love that. I find that when I am too stuck to my script, I lose. I don't own the words, right? I'm just saying them in the right order. You have to internalize them and then be able to just let them come forth for it to truly have those emotional and visual cues.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. So it's posture, it's how you're showing up on stage
Yeah.
too, right? And I think that's something we don't talk about enough. Posture is very important. And I tell can I show a demonstration?
Yes, please do.
Okay. So if I put my shoulders up, this says
Yeah.
I'm stressed
I'll
out.
follow you.
Don't
Yeah.
trust me. Don't trust me. Right?
Yeah.
Don't trust me. So the shorter the distance between your earlobe and your shoulder
Right.
is a signification. Can I trust this person? Can I trust what this person is saying?
Right.
Because your body language is conveying distrust, it's conveying stress. Why
Mm,
would you be stressed if you were lying, if you weren't telling the truth?
yeah.
So if you're not showing up authentically, you'd be stressed, you'd be guarded. So
Right.
that signifies I can't trust you. The shoulders back signifies I'm confident
Mm,
in what I say,
right.
right? Lower stomach tucked in says I'm competent. It makes you show up a little differently. You hold your weight a little differently. It holds your
Mm,
posture in a more firm position. And I think this is important because we can mess up a really good talk that has an awesome speech in it
yeah.
simply with these cues and things. So all important.
Right. So my team is kind of pushing me to start doing or to do a TED Talk. So I thought we, help the audience, our listeners here, kind of maybe figure out their TED Talk by kind of case studying it together, if that's all right.
Yeah, of course. Let's do
Yeah.
it. Yep.
Yeah. So I'm thinking about like what I should talk about. So where would you start if we're gonna dive into like how would I go about this?
Yeah. So I would assume, I don't like assuming, but I would assume if you were going to talk on the TEDx stage, you would talk about your personal story
Yeah.
about almost going through bankruptcy and then meeting Kim Kiyosaki and
Yeah.
having her, right? I would assume you would talk about that.
Yeah, we've talked about it before. So for anyone listening,
Yep.
that's I was on Tara's podcast and obviously told this story about how when I started out in real estate. I got ripped off for about £400,000. I could have bankrupted the company, but that would have cost my investors everything. So I didn't. I had to figure out how to turn the business around. I had no idea how. ended up starting the Swedish Wealth Institute to get free coaching by taking speakers out to dinner. Finally met Kim Kiyosaki, and after me spending 4 or 5 years trying to figure it out, it took her 15 minutes
Yeah.
to figure out what I needed to do.
Yeah.
And that's kind of, so what I'm thinking the star of the show, the idea is, a good mentor a bad mentor can cost you everything. A good mentor can fix it all in 15 minutes.
Boom. So that's the idea. And I love how you said it so clearly, so concisely, and you said it in just a handful of words. That's your thorough line now of your TEDx talk. So congratulations.
Right.
Now you didn't just narrow down your idea. Now you also developed your thorough line. So we would write that down at that point.
And
okay.
What does thorough line mean, just for everyone to define
It's
that?
more of a TED. So that was Chris Anderson, the head of TED, the creator of TED. He obviously developed, the TEDx platform and the TED platform. So he is someone, him and his team are people that when they watch a TEDx talk, they decide, could this go to TED.com? Right? And part of one of those criteria is that a talk has a very clear, thorough line that's repeated throughout the talk. And that is one of the structures of how you would write a talk.
Right.
So you've just developed your idea. You've developed your thorough line for your talk. Now, where would you like to speak? Are you only wanting to speak in Sweden, other parts of Europe, United States? Where would you want to go?
Honestly, it doesn't really matter. I mean, to me, my feel, and correct me now if I'm wrong, is TEDx is really so much about the YouTube side of it, right? There's one thing is the people in the room, but the big play is you get millions of viewers over time on the YouTube channel.
Yep.
So I don't know, does it matter really which TEDx you talk to or talk at for that exposure?
I would say just, if you're not like pinned on location, I would say you would still want to go with one that's probably not the first year. Someone, an event that has been repeated a couple of times, that has an organizer.
Right, so the production quality really is.
Yes. So that part is very important. And in order to decide that, as you're applying, I would recommend you just watch a couple of videos from that event. Does this match my brand? Would I be proud of sharing something that this organizer produced?
Right.
And that's
because
part of it.
You do see a big difference in production quality between them?
I have, absolutely. Yeah, I have for sure. The event that I'm a curator for, the organizer, she puts on an amazing event, but I've also been events too that were kind of floppy. So
Right. Okay. Well, so that's really good advice. See, this is the inside secrets we want to know.
Yes.
So you find one where you see there's high production quality. Is there anything else that you want to know about the location that makes a difference?
I don't think so. I think it really just depends on your goals. Like, when I spoke in England, that made me an international speaker. So, and it was it had a slightly different feel to it. It was a really nice, produced event. Everything was very nice. So, I think it depends on your goals to a certain extent, but just think about those things. Like,
I've been on stages we've put on events in multiple countries in Europe, and I've been on stages in North America. So I don't really need that. It's very easy in Europe to be an international speaker.
True.
You go to the neighboring country. That's like you going to a neighboring state and calling yourself an interstate speaker.
I should. That's hilarious. Interstate. I never heard of that. That's great. But yeah, I would say it, just depends on your goals. So for you, I would be looking at events that are happening globally. And then you would just tell me if there's any dates that you cannot speak. And then we would, based on that idea that you already discussed with me, we would find events that matched their theme, matched that idea in some way.
Right. So each TEDx, like they will have a theme for their speakers for a day?
That's correct. So you wouldn't apply to an event that is about AI and healthcare.
Right. Okay. So that you want to be matching what are they going to be doing at this event?
Exactly. And a lot of time there's just too many mismatches that I've seen with speakers that they apply to unaligned themed events based on their idea. and get
Yeah. Like
rejected.
me applying for a healthcare one to talk about mentorships. Yeah, that's just not a good
Exactly.
fit.
It's just not a good fit. So always important to do a little bit of background research on the organizer, a
Yeah.
little bit of background research on past events. You can watch this on YouTube, it's free. A little bit of research on the actual event, what they're
Right.
looking for, read all the fine print. They put it all out there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they want to have the best possible speakers, of course.
Exactly, exactly. And this is something that I help people do. I help through this entire process. And it's very much, something that once we find that event,
Yeah.
that idea, the acceptance rate is, again, because you're narrowing down, you're figuring it
Mhm.
out, you're distilling it.
Right.
And
So
that's
you
what
don't
they
really
expect.
need to have a prior relationship. It's more important that you're fitting the theme and the quality.
The theme, the quality, you have what they're looking for. And again, you can look by past speakers, who have they selected
Right.
and why, right? And for my event, I'll tell a personal story. For my event,
Mhm.
I did not know the organizer,
Mhm.
but I found her bio online, and her bio
Mm.
is very compelling. I related to a lot. She talked about childhood trauma, different things in her bio, and how she overcame them, became an author. I checked out her books, right?
Right.
I did research before I contacted her. And I contacted her and I just sent her a really nice email that shared, oh my gosh, I read your bio. I took a quote from exactly what she said, a quote.
Oh, wow.
Put that in the email. It
Yeah.
shares with her that I really
Yeah.
do care. I'm not just transactional.
Yeah.
And honestly, this is the same for any event a speaker can apply to. This exact
Yeah.
logic right here. Relationships over transactions. If you just
Yeah.
apply, what separates you from any other speaker?
Yeah. Yeah, honestly, for us, when someone just cold reaches out to us, that is usually a red flag because that means they had no relationship to any of the speakers we work with and they had to cold reach out. When you go, the way to get in with us is to talk to someone like you've introduced me to a bunch of
Yeah.
great people.
Hmm.
And that's how we build these
Yeah.
relationships. So for me, the best way that I've seen, at least to get a hold of us, is to go through, okay, so who's put courses in their course catalog, who's been on their podcast, who speaks at their events. Well, let me call one of them if I know one and have them make an intro.
Yep.
But you don't need to do that at TEDx is basically what you're saying. You just have to send a really good application that fits the right event.
That fits the right event. And, before I even apply, I want to be known by that person.
Right.
Right. So again, it's very similar to if I was applying to a job at Microsoft, let's say, there's
Mm.
1,400 other applicants, right?
Yeah.
Because some events have
Yeah.
hundreds of applicants.
Right.
Would they be more likely to entertain those? Or would they be more likely to entertain somebody who actually reached out to them directly, did a little bit of research, and
Mm.
asked them a question in the email? Hey,
Yeah.
I noticed your event. It looks amazing. I've checked out your past videos. Wow, I've commented on a bunch of them. Do your work,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
And then say to them, I'm not sure if what you think about this idea, but it's been on my heart. And I really
Right.
think it'd be interesting to share this on stage, not pitchy, not salesy, more of a
Yeah.
question.
Right. More get their feedback and insights.
Get their feedback and insights. They're the expert, not you. So
Yeah.
go to them and be humble, right? Ask
Right.
them a question. Don't say, this is the best idea ever.
Yeah.
What do you think about this? Right?
Yeah.
Because again, they hear
Yeah.
that all the time. This is the best idea I've ever heard. And they've heard it 5 times yesterday.
Mm.
So show up as a person first with
Mm.
authenticity, a genuine outreach. And I think, again, that goes for almost any event you can apply to,
Yeah.
but TEDx especially. Yeah.
Right. And what do you think about? So, one of the things I know a lot of speakers is about, they want to come off as larger speakers, right? So, would you say in this case, is it better to reach out personally or is it better to have, your partnership manager or someone
Ooh.
on your team do it on your behalf?
I would say definitely you reach out personally. And
Yeah.
the reason is TEDx, they like ideas worth spreading. They
Yeah.
like they don't like what's called, they refer to as a circuit speaker. A
Right. Yeah.
circuit speaker. So they actually frown upon that and prefer unique ideas more at the grassroots level.
Right.
So for TED, it's honestly the opposite strategy to your point.
Yeah.
So that would be 100% the best thing ever. If
Yeah.
it's a conference, if it's something like that, like a panel discussion or something in the large event, then
Yeah. Make
absolutely
yourself
100%.
sound big and, you got a
Sure.
proper team and stuff.
Yeah,
With TEDx, they simply want the idea.
that's right. And they don't necessarily care about your platform and how
Right.
big it is. They
Right.
care
And they
about
don't want the idea. Maybe they don't want you to have spoken on a million stages already with this exact same idea.
exactly. That's so right. So it's about, again, just having that compelling idea, reaching out authentically and not worrying. You don't have to be a professional speaker from day one.
Right.
In fact, you definitely don't have to be a professional speaker. That's
Right.
another misconception. I
Right.
think TEDx, that you should be a good speaker, right? I
Yeah.
mean, that helps certainly. But is it going to be the thing that gets you in the door versus not? It really
Right.
just depends. It's
Maybe
not
say more, you should be a good orator, but you don't necessarily have to be a professional speaker.
exactly. Exactly.
Right. And so then when we build the story, I liked what you said with the through line there. But I'm curious, like for mine now with, a bad mentor and good mentor, would, when I build a story, that would kind of normally be like the punchline that comes at the end, but that's missing that rule of the through line. How do you treat that?
So the thorough line should come in the first, I would like, it depends on how many minutes your talk is. I always
Yeah.
separate my talk into chunks, right? So
Right.
I have chunk one, that's the introduction and the hook. Chunk two is what goes into maybe, the personal story, right?
Yeah.
And that idea should really be in that section, stated
Right.
clearly in one sentence, about 15 words or so.
Yeah.
Then the idea should be repeated throughout the talk, not necessarily the full sentence again and again,
Right.
not necessarily, but that same idea
So in my
continually
case, it might be
reinforced.
as we're talking about getting ripped off, I'm reminding this is what can happen with a bad mentor.
Exactly, exactly. And just continually going back to that idea. But I actually think the hook of your story is, or the hook of your talk is your story.
Yeah.
It's exactly what you said in the beginning, and that's how your talk begins. And then it's at the end of you telling that story, it's
Yeah.
that thorough line that's about 15 words, and then it
Yeah.
goes into, so what happened? How does that idea now, right? How did that idea form? And how did it
Right.
change your life? What was the result?
Mm.
And have you seen this through other people? Is there any other research out there? Potentially, right? And that's something
Well,
else we
yeah,
would look for too.
absolutely. I
Yeah.
mean, obviously. Yeah.
So there's your story, which is great because that's your unique perspective.
Right.
And then there's also probably studies and research we could look into
Right.
that.
So you'd basically keep my story very short. It wouldn't be the full 12 minutes would be the story. It would be a condensed version that kind of emotionalizes the idea, and then you back it up with research and
Yep.
and principles.
Yep. And I would probably end the talk, going back to that story,
Right. And creating
going
that.
back to that story and creating that arc, because it's the story, it's the hook. Then there's the lessons. Like, what was that? And
Mm.
is there something actionable that you can teach your audience to do with this information? I think that's important too. Is there like maybe 3 points? Is there 3 steps? Is there something that someone can do right now, depending on how you want your talk to go, in
Yeah.
what direction you want it to go? Because it could go in a couple different directions.
Yeah.
I would think about what direction, like by listening to your talk, ask yourself what's in it for them,
Mm.
the person that's watching the talk, what's in it for
Yeah.
them? So if we can identify that, what would you say? Let's, do a real
Yeah.
discussion about it.
Well, I think the big thing is it's both the combination of going at it alone is really hard. That,
Yes.
a mentor has a shortcut, right?
Yep.
But Also, a shortcut can cause long delays. So you need to find the right mentor at the right time for you to live your mission, because otherwise, either way, either without a mentor or with the wrong mentor, it's going to take that much longer to reach your goal.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And if somebody is in a situation right now, let's say, and they have a bad mentor, what would you say it's costing them?
Well,
It could be costing them a
yeah.
lot. Like it costs
Potentially
marriages.
everything. Yeah. It cost me
Yeah.
friends. It cost me my house. It cost me my
Yep.
marriage. It cost me my home. It can cost you everything.
So it's urgent.
Yeah.
And it applies to everybody because
Yeah.
whether you're an entrepreneur or not, eventually you're going to trust someone with your money, with your
Yeah.
future, with everything, right?
Yeah, exactly. Even if
Yeah.
you're in a normal job, you're probably going to have a mentor at the office that's hopefully going to open doors for you. And
Yeah.
if it's the wrong one, they'll be closing those doors instead.
Exactly. So I think these are all universally appealing. And this is how, again, we just build that talk. And once you have that talk really built, it gets even clearer. So I don't recommend necessarily that people get accepted to an event and then write their talk. I encourage people to start writing their talk as soon as that idea is clear.
Yeah.
And we've already done that. And then we can start writing your talk today.
Yeah.
And then you can start applying. And once we get all of this down, we'll get a talk title. And the talk title is simple, actionable. Maybe it has a problem. Maybe it has a promise or a hook and an outcome.
Right.
I like problem promise. They're pretty universal, but if you think about it that way, you're speaking directly to somebody's problem and you're offering them a solution, and it's very clickable. So that's another thing we'll think about too as we go through.
Yeah,
I'm
of course.
excited
You
for
need
you.
those click-through rates on YouTube.
You need those click-through rates. So
Yeah.
I'm already excited about your talk.
Yeah,
I
no,
will
it's
watch
going
it.
to be really, really fun. We do so much virtual now, so I don't get to be on live stages too much. It
Right.
was just fun doing it. This morning, I was invited to my kids' schools to teach them cash flow 101. So
I love
it's just
that.
fun to do things live.
It
All
is.
right.
It's awesome.
We wrap up every episode with a rapid fire round. So are you ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, cool. So I'm going to ask you 5 questions, and you just answer the first thing that comes to mind.
Okay.
All right. What is one confidence killer?
Ooh, I would say one confidence killer is comparing yourself to other people and not giving yourself grace. We are all imperfect people. You're putting yourself to a standard that doesn't exist.
What is one habit to improve your visibility?
Being consistent and not giving up. Be persistent and consistent. It's one thing just showing up continually. It's another thing to believe that message and the reason you should be showing up continually. So be persistent, be consistent, and never give up.
Nice. I like the definition between the two. What is one branding myth?
Ooh, this is an interesting one. Let's see. One branding myth. You have to be all things to all people.
Yep.
Know your audience. You're not trying to appeal to everybody. The more you exclude, the more you niche down, the better. And all of that is okay. And that coincides with confidence. You can't do that if you're not truly confident. So a business starts with the owner, not with the business.
Absolutely. Considering there's 7 billion or so people on this planet,
Yeah.
if you exclude 99%, you're still going to have a pretty popular talk.
Yep, that's right.
All right. What is one fear leaders avoid?
Looking at themselves first.
All right. Last one here. What is a definition of purpose that you use?
Purpose is inherited. It's God-given. Purpose is something that we don't choose or find but more something we remember.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Now, we love spoiling our audience here at the Swedish Wealth Institute. Do you have anything exciting for our listeners?
Absolutely. Feel free to check out the documents for TEDx. If this is a goal for you, check those out. and start putting it into practice. Start writing your talk, start writing your title, start thinking about that 15 words, and start bringing this to life so that you can start applying and getting closer to that goal of being on stage. I would love to hear from people listening to this episode that because of this podcast, they landed a TEDx talk and started their dreams.
Oh, that would be so cool. I agree. Please comment that below. And those links will be in the show notes so you can grab them. And of course, you got to hop into the Swedish Wealth Institute community and check out the amazing course that you've created for us on how to be a TEDx speaker.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Daniel.
So do you have any final parting words before we let you go?
I would say if someone else has done it, you can too. There's nothing that's impossible, only your mindset and your willingness to take action. So if you believe this is for you, if this is attractive for you, if this is something you want to do, that you feel compelled to do, it means it already belongs to you. You just have to step into the version of yourself who is already on that stage, and you can do it.
You hear that, guys? All we got to do is do it. Go claim those links below. Thank you so much, Tara. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us today. And we are now at the favorite segment of, my favorite segment of our show, the What is the Difference That Makes the Difference, where me and the team have broken down the lessons and made them actionable for you to put into play. So let's go through the 5 we found that are especially valuable and that I hope you implement into your life, because that's when this truly can make a difference. And of course, once I'm done, I have a special gift for you. And I want to share with you what is our next episode. So, lesson 1, TEDx is not the whole strategy, but it's a great positioning piece. So Tara shared a really important point, that TEDx can really open doors. It's powerful. It gives you credibility. It gives you authority. It's a third-party platform that will share your message for you, but it's not what's going to build your speaking career or your business. So use it as a part of your strategy and a way to get the message out. Now, when doing a talk, this is number 2, you want one idea, not 5. So a lot of speakers try to get their entire philosophy into that one talk. But this is important. You build a talk around one key idea and use that to shift how someone sees the world. That's what you're going to be remembered for, and that's what's going to open doors. And hey, if you got 5 ideas, then you can do 5 talks over the years, right? Number 3, your story supports the idea. It's not the star. And this was powerful for me because I am very much a storyteller as a person. And what the point that Tara made is that storytelling matters, but it shouldn't take over the talk. It draws people in, but the idea is the star. And that's, you use the story to make it real, emotional, and memorable, but it's not the point. Number 4, do the research before you apply. So Tara gave some really practical advice, right? Take a look at other TEDx talks in your topic. Look at the event, look at the organizer, look at the production quality, look at the theme. Make sure you are choosing a TEDx stadium that will give you a quality video, because in the end, it's not about the people in the room. It's about the exposure this will get when it goes live on their YouTube channel and other media. And you want to have a TEDx production quality to make sure that that is really, really good. And then you want to get on their stage. So you want to be pitching yourself for a fitting subject, a fitting event. And that pre-work is really, really important. Number 5, presence matters as much as the words. So remember, it's not just about knowing your speech. It's about being there. It's about connecting. It's about feeling it, owning it. Because if you're not authentically connecting to your own script, you're not going to create that connection. And that's why we do this. All right. So I have a special gift for you. And before I do, I want to remind you to make sure you are subscribed to the Swedish Wealth Institute podcast, just like thousands of people all over the world. And that you don't miss our next episode, because we have a very exciting guest who this is going to be really cool to introduce you to her. We are now going to give you your gift. 2 weeks free access to the Swedish Wealth Institute app. Inside, you will be able to find our analytics tool, which helps you identify where are you now, where are you going, and what is your number one limiting factor. We will then connect you to how to overcome that limiting factor. And this is what's so cool. So once you know, this is where I am right now, this is where I'm going, this is what's holding me back, we'll connect you to the best people in the world, whether that's an accountability buddy, a course from Jack Canfield or Dr. John DeMartini, or direct coaching from one of the amazing speakers we work with. We'll help you overcome that step. And that's what's so amazing. You're going to get these 2 weeks for free, and then it's only 27 euros a month. So it's not an expensive subscription, and you can cancel at any time. Next week, we have Celine DaCosta. Her book, Burning Ground, just became a USA Today bestseller. She is one of the most inspiring speakers I have met, and is definitely one that if you haven't heard of her yet, you will have heard of her soon. And of course, you'll know her better than most people after hearing the episode. We've had an amazing conversation about storytelling, purpose, visibility, healing, and what it means to share your message from contribution rather than ego. So I'm Daniel Wood. This is the Swedish Wealth Institute Podcast. Thank you so much for joining us.